She went through, okay, hold up.
How many oopsies is this out of 10 oopsies?
One of the biggest generational leaps in gaming just happened. Unreal Engine 5 just dropped.
There's one specific shot that is like an actual like, huh?
Big thanks to Vessi Shoes for sponsoring today's episode. At the end of this video, I'll tell you how you can get $25 off your own pair of Vessi Shoes.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of VFX Artist React. We have so many cool clips to show you today, and something that's not even from a movie, but still it's going to redefine everything about filmmaking.
All right, crack your Budweisers because it's time to react.
Classic Saturday morning Budweiser. Just me?
Just me.
We had to repaint this Budweiser here so it looks like a LaCroix, but really.
We're the best, we're the beautiful, we're the only.
Ghostbusters.
Purgatory possible,
Guardians
people.
of Ghostbusters.
So real quick, no computers, all right? Think about how these shots are done without computers.
The animation's really good on these ghosts.
Whoa. I saw some like skew going on that ghost.
Yeah.
Whoa, wait, hold up.
Yeah.
She went through, okay, hold up.
That was a really tricky
Hold
shot, isn't
up. It's one thing to have a person like be dangling from their feet and going across a room, but she went through a doorway and the doors closed after her.
There's a couple pretty cool magic tricks happening here. And I want to throw two of them at you guys and see if you guys can guess how they're done. So first off, we have the ghosts. The first part's pretty straightforward. You're like, oh, they probably filmed on a green screen. Technically, it's a blue screen. Those are costumes, full-size costumes that a human being is wearing. They have these animatronic heads. So, you don't have a computer. How do you get it to stretch and warp, right? It's not like you can just take your piece of film and stretch and warp your piece of film.
Okay, I'm gonna make a guess. It's some sort of re-exposing a projection that they're adding real life skew to. Like if you were to project something onto a wall and then like continue to project it upwards, it's gonna like skew outwards a bit.
That's a close guess. It's actually a little more clever than that.
More clever?
Notice how his legs go to a point? Like, that's not skew. That's not just perspective skew. They're actually warping the image.
Oh, that's like a
that's what you're
liquefy
talking
type
about.
thing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I didn't even notice. That's weird. How do you do that optically?
So here's how they did it. They took their dude on a blue screen or whatever, punch out the blue screen so you just have your background that's just black, and they put this on a projection screen. And then they set up a Mylar sheet. Mylar is like those like balloons, those like metallic balloons.
Yeah,
reflective
like a
plastic.
space blanket.
Yeah, or basically so they actually like made
thermally
the,
reflective.
the lunar
Why don't
lander
we
out
just
of.
grab some over there?
Oh yeah, Mylar. Mylar. So they had this sheet. It was a little bit thicker than this. It wasn't just like fabric. And so they have the projection. I don't know if you can see like my hands here. So they have the projection here. And they had the reflection of the projection on the Mylar. And then they had computer-controlled, motion-controlled rods that would push on the Mylar to disrupt and distort the reflection. And they could program it so you get squashes and stretches.
So kind of like a House of Mirrors type deal.
Exactly like a House of Mirrors type deal. It's like the actual physical version of doing a mesh distort.
Dang, yeah. Like these days you just click and drag some pixels, but back then they had to prod and poke photons.
Yeah.
So the final images we're seeing here were captured on reflective plastic.
Yes.
Oh my God.
The second big magic trick in this scene, the prosecutor being dragged out of the courtroom by her leg by a ghost.
Okay, there's something I definitely noticed right away. There's a black outline around her leg. That looks like a track mat artifact. So, she's not in the scene at all.
Are you sure? Because look at the hands.
You were doing so well, Wren.
Wait, okay, no, you're
I'm just
right.
saying.
The lighting all matches up. So that leads me to believe she is there. But she's being cut out somehow.
The thing is that if they're gonna do this wire stunt, the top of the wall can't really be there because they need to be able to drag her through this situation. See the black lines above the sconces? I think that's where the set ends. It's basically a real wall and a false wall. See, yeah, even the lighting is a little bit off.
What they ended up doing here is, see that little black line there? That's where the real footage from that shot ends, and then above that is a little miniature that's been photographed and stuck back onto the footage to cover up the area where the wire went through.
I mean, they did a really good job matching that angle.
Yeah, they not only like lined up the perspective perfectly, they lined up the exposure perfectly, and they timed the strobe lights to link together. It's not perfect. You can actually, frame by frame, you can see where the strobes don't quite line up perfectly between the top
But when
part
you
and the
watch it in
bottom part.
motion, it's not even an issue.
Yeah, having the ghost and all the electricity really helps blend it. The funny thing is in other shots where you see that door, the miniature is actually different than the actual on-location shot.
It's close though. That's pretty close.
When you watch these older visual effects shots and you see stuff like this, it's hard to like understand how much ingenuity has to go into these shots. Whereas these days, you do a shot like this in a film and you watch it and you're not like, wow, how did they do that? Because you can always just fall back on, it's just a bunch of CG, whatever. There's something pretty special about this.
In a way, it forces you to really commit to your shots. That's what you're gonna work with, and that's the piece you're gonna execute on for the next couple of months. In a way, maybe it's good that we have that flexibility now, and we don't have to commit quite as much, but it makes it like a very structured, like theatrical play, in a way. It's a different style of movie making.
I see trees of green.
Let's watch this goof.
Oh, we're looking at a goof?
Yep. So Doolittle, which was a bit of a box office bomb, has some legit amazing effects in it, but the part we're gonna look at here has some jank.
Give us 5 minutes. If you don't feel better, you can fry us all.
Stop talking.
Wait, what? He just like does he like phase into his neck?
He like clips through the side of the dragon's neck. It's so strange. He comes back out.
They're stitching 2 takes together, and I think that's the motivation for this. Because see how far away he is, then he goes back, and then the dragon talks, and it pans back, and it's like super close.
I think that's part of it. I think another issue is that they're getting this shot of Robert Downey Jr. working on the dragon. They wanted to like show more of the dragon here, but they didn't rotate the camera when they're filming Robert Downey Jr. So his perspective stays the same. It's like you could put your finger on his eyeball and then the camera moves and your finger would still be on his eyeball.
It's like someone forgot to parent his layer to the track.
Yeah, that's totally just like an oversight there.
That's weird, man.
It's a bummer because like the rest of the shot actually looks really good. Like the creature work here, the lighting, the rendering, the depth of field, it's all like pretty well done.
It's kind of fun to be able to pick on one shot.
Yeah, I know. It feels a little unfair. Like
It's a little
we're looking
unfair
at this
'cause
whole movie and like, oh, this one little mistake, ha!
And it's not even
Ha,
that.
gotcha.
It's a pretty tiny mistake too. It's
Yeah.
not like when you said he was going to clip through the dragon, I was imagining I was going to see Robert Downey Jr. halfway inside of a dragon. How many oopsies is this out of 10 oopsies?
It's subtle. Most people probably didn't notice it. This is like a solid 5 out of 10.
This has to be the right way.
Guys, one of the biggest generational leaps in gaming just happened. Unreal Engine 5 just dropped. And they just dropped this video demonstrating what makes it crazy. And this doesn't just apply to Unreal Engine, this applies to the entire industry. This is going to change filmmaking not only as we know it, this is also like changing how we approach 3D programs in general.
The portal, it's open.
That's so much detail.
This is what The Lion King looked like.
Look at
the
that
Jon Favreau
photograph.
one. And this is in real time. And I guarantee you The Lion King was not in real time.
Let me explain some problems here. All right, so when we're talking about Unreal Engine versus Cinema 4D, 3ds Max, Maya, like the traditional 3D modeling and animation programs, there's a big difference. How are these mountains even made in the first place? Well, you might use Cinema 4D to make the photo scan of 1 or 2 of the rocks, but you're making each individual tiny file in a traditional application and then bringing them into Unreal where you can view them all at the same time. But we're not tweaking the individual polygons and vertices that actually make up the foundation of that model. And so because of that, they don't have to display all of the model to you. That's why this technology doesn't exist in those programs yet, is because it's just a different need structure. In those traditional ones, you try and open this giant mountain landscape, your computer might explode.
Anyone trying to work with the 3D scene has the limitations of what their machine is. It can only handle so many polygons. If you have a really high resolution mesh of a character, you import the character and then you don't have room for anything else in the shot. So you have to optimize what you have. The reason why Unreal 5 is a big deal is they figured out how to have all the geometry you could possibly want, but still have it run really efficiently.
The team over at Epic came up with a system called Nanite. It lets you take these incredibly highly detailed models, the kind that you would see like in a film, like remember King Kong, like that detail of a model, and lets you bring that into a video game and run it through the system and then have that geometry merge together and become simplified as it backs away. So you never can see that change in detail. As things get further into the distance, they're becoming simpler and the computer's not having to pull all that data. And likewise, as it gets closer to the camera, it starts filling all that data back in. And that's crazy because not only does it change how video games are going to be made moving forwards, it kind of changes a little bit how movies are going to be made.
So let's say you're shooting on a green screen set. Okay, well, what is that going to look like? Is the lighting going to affect my characters? What's going to happen here? How should I frame things? When we have access to technology like this, it bridges that gap of going from, hey, 3 months later, you get to see what this huge, awesome city looks like, to literally, you can run a laptop next to your camera that can, in real time, at 60 frames per second, see the entire detailed city that you'll be putting in your background.
So you are witnessing us crossing a technological edge. We're going to stop measuring things in seconds per frame, and we're going to start measuring them in frames per second.
It's kind of crazy to think about where we've come from just in the last like 20, 25 years. Because remember that movie, Final Fantasy Spirits Within?
I'm standing, waiting for something.
I swear, it looks like a cutscene.
No, it does. It looks like a cutscene 100%.
But when I saw it originally, I was just like, how can video game graphics get better?
Yeah, it's like, we're there.
There's like no room for improvement. It's perfect.
This was a mind-blowing movie at the time. This was probably one of the most ambitious movies because they committed to having everything be 100% CG, not just computer-driven. They ended up inventing over 100 plugins to work with Maya to be able to make this film happen.
Warning, system overload.
But it must be done.
Every facial animation was all done by hand through keyframes and sliders.
They actually look pretty good. Like, that's probably where a lot of the time went. There's a couple things that are really holding them back. One is subsurface scattering, and that is the light entering your skin, scattering, and then coming back out from your skin. If you don't have subsurface scattering for skin ends up looking like it's plastic. And that was a thing for all of the CG in the 90s.
These are the people who are like opening this giant gate that the rest of the world now gets to walk through, and that is, you know, awesome CG animated films.
Emergency landing procedures.
It's Saturday morning, it's Subscriber Appreciation Day, and if you're not subscribed, well, come join us next Saturday.
And if you're not subscribed, well, I don't appreciate you. No, I'm kidding. I appreciate every single one of you watching this video.
Every single one, including Kevin. We settled our grievances and now we're buds.
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
One movie I wanted to look at was Army of the Dead because there's like a lot of cool visual stuff that is being done throughout it. Notably, the fact that they replaced an actor that was in the entire film, to the point where Dave Bautista, who plays the lead role, has yet to actually meet her, despite being in many, many scenes with the character.
So I haven't seen this yet, and I don't know who was replaced. I'm gonna see if I can spot them.
All right, let's see.
Mr. Tanaka, team's all here.
Lovely to have you.
Oh, I think I can tell.
Yeah.
Wait, what? I missed it.
It's very subtle.
It's very subtle.
This shot right here, Niko, who is it?
It's the girl that's standing in front of Dave Bautista.
She wasn't the actress that was replaced for the whole film. Maybe in this one shot they had to do some tweaking, but it's actually the one to her left.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See the light wrap
They did a
on the
really
head
good
there?
job. The light wrap actually doesn't look too bad to me because they
Yeah.
had tinting blue.
It's the edge blur. I think the edge blur is a little too strong. You know, now that you say it though, like there is something a little obtuse about how she's standing in front of him. Maybe like her hair is too sharp or something, and maybe she also had to be replaced in that shot to make the other one work.
Oh, because you have overlap and paint outs to do.
That's the thing. Once you start replacing one person, you quickly get into this territory of, well, what was behind them that now had to be replaced? See, she's replaced there in the corner too.
Oh, they did a great job.
That's great. Wow, yeah, that's really
That's
well
so
done.
well done.
Matching the depth of field and the focus change.
There's one specific shot that is like an actual like, huh? So here we go, watch this.
Given to triage.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, obviously,
Wow.
Dang.
is the most
Look
important.
at the hair detail they got from
Dang.
the green screen. The lighting change.
Well, the tracking. Anytime you add a moving camera to the mix, it gets a little bit more complicated.
I think it's a lot more complicated, especially if you need to film someone after the fact when you already recorded a scene with a moving camera. Like, do you film them again in real life with a motion-controlled camera replicating your camera's motion?
But how do you even get the camera's motion when you look at that shot? Like, the lens is so foggy and there's so much depth of field going on here. See like all the light wrap and stuff and the haze and bloom we're getting.
They're also nailing the actual lighting direction and the silhouette and the actual occlusion as she gets further away from that light. That all matches very well.
This is expert level like manipulation of light. It's not like 3D work where you can just like check all the boxes that enable like 100% physically based realistic rendering. You're filming it on a camera, which immediately takes it out of the realm of science and into the artistry, because how your camera is then interpreting that image. And then we're gonna take that, you know, now no longer physically based 100% simulated shot, and now I'm gonna composite that and match the focus. I'm gonna match the lighting, I'm gonna match the bloom, I'm gonna match the imperfections, I'm gonna match the motion. You only make it look real by putting in the work and having the foresight and the planning and the knowledge and the craftsmanship.
You hear that and you immediately think of Superman's mustache. You're like, we replaced an actor, and you're like, oh God, here we go. And it's basically perfect. I think it's worth seeing the coolest the movie has to offer, which is in the title sequence.
Oh my God, that's extremely gory.
This is very gory. That's why I wanted to show it to you.
Hey Zach, if you ever watch our show, we'd love to have you on it. It'd be really cool. So the T1000, groundbreaking at the time, and honestly still holds up in a ton of shots, and like shots that have emotional impact too.
I hate that floor shot.
Only because you tried recreating it and it was hard.
It was super hard. While we could go in depth with the visual effects in this episode, we decided to make an entire video dedicated to going in depth and recreating some of Terminator 2's best visual effects.
So what we decided to do was a full deep dive investigation into one of those shots in particular, the jail bar scene shot. Peter and I, we tried to recreate it with a couple different methods. It's really fascinating. Check it out. It's coming out on this channel tomorrow. Subscribe, or, you know, just come back tomorrow.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Brandy O'Daniel special here on VFX Artists React. Today, courtesy of today's sponsor, Vessi Shoes, we're gonna be seeing if we can float this shoe down this stream without getting the little piece of paper that I've placed inside of it wet in any way. A lot of you guys didn't believe us when we told you that Vessi shoes were waterproof, and this is the chance to prove it to you all once and for all. All right, here we go. There's a little waterfall down there. Here's the stream. Okay, here we go. Go, my child. Okay, while we get this set up, there's a few things that you guys gotta know about Vessis. Now, obviously, when they're on your foot, they are 100% waterproof and weatherproof. You can wear them through any weather and keep your toes dry. Rain, snow, mud, slush, you name it. These shoes are also incredibly breathable. Their patented material lets the sweat and heat escape, keeping your toes fresh. And the incredible Dymatex material that they're made of keeps you warm in the winter and cool in the summer. They're highly stretchy. They fit like a sock, so you barely even notice that you're wearing anything at all. Vessis are the best travel shoe out there, so whether you're caught in a storm, walking through town, or on and off at airports, Vessis will meet all of your needs. Oh no! No! Well, that didn't work so well. Okay, so give them a break. No one said that the shoes were boats or that they would float down a stream without getting a piece of paper inside of it wet. No one ever said that, but Vessis are waterproof when they're on your foot. So if you guys are interested, head on over to vessi.com/corridorcrew and you'll get $25 off your first purchase. That's vessifootwear.com/corridorcrew. But anyways, I think we all learned something here today. Let me know next time what you want to see in the Brandy O'Daniel special. And now back to the episode.
I've been wanting to do some sort of like special effects episode at some point soon, but we need some stuff to look at. So leave a comment down below of some of the best special effects, not CGI or visual effects.
Special. Make a real special.
And then maybe we'll get a cool guest on to look at them with us.
Bye everybody.
Bye. Bye.